How did I get in this room? Episode number 2, guys. If you were with us for the first episode, thank you so much for being here for the second episode. Margot, I got to tell you, Tom Chapman was amazing in our first episode.
Gosh, to have the honor of having him taking time to chat with us about Sea Fever, his other band, and obviously New Order.
Of course, New Order, yeah.
Coming into that life, that was really incredible.
Here's the amazing thing, too. 1983 or, thereabouts, we first get New Order, and they were now currently on or just wrapped up a sold out tour of the world. That's pretty amazing. Says something to the legacy of that band. But today, in this episode,
speaking of legacy,
let's talk about it because we have to talk about our incredible guests.
So our incredible guests are Ryan Cook of Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley, and the Ryan Roxie of Alice Cooper. This could have been a trifecta if Ruben of RRR.
Ryan, and
yes,
Ruben.
But unfortunately, you weren't there. So I would like everybody to know that I carried this interview.
Yeah, you did.
And we have so many great hits. Sound bites, if you will.
It was amazing, and I love the fact that you guys really took great delight in poking fun at the fact that I wasn't there. But that's good.
You were missed.
It's all good. It's all good. I think before you see this, guys, I just want to prepare you for there was a situation with Margot's lighting. I don't want anyone to be, have a seizure.
It's all about the lighting.
When she cuts on her I don't even know what do you, it's like Christmas. It feels like one of those episodes of Saturday Night Live when like someone like starts, coming in from like heaven or something,
Genie in a bottle. I was called a genie in a bottle.
You were called
Ruben.
The genie in the bottle. Yeah.
And I own that. This was my space. We wished that you were there,
but we can't see you. It's like you're coming, like broadcasting from another dimension.
Questions.
No, your questions were great.
Everybody's going to hear the great questions that I was able to ask in this interview, even though you were absent. And we're about to roll them right now.
You did a fantastic job. All right, here we go. Ryan Cook and Ryan Roxie. Check it out.
I did celebrate a little bit last night, so I'm tired. I was like, I read it over and over, and poured a little.
Put your genie in a bottle lights on. Put your Barbara Eden genie in a bottle lights, because folks, I honestly thought that we were doing the interview with Barbara Eden at the very beginning of this, because this is what it would look like if you lived inside a genie bottle.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is.
I'm channeling my inner Barbie or Christina Aguilera, genie in a bottle. I don't know. Like,
it's Barbie.
Take it.
Barbie.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go back to, again, Ruben, my co-host, is not on this interview, this podcast. So that means it's going to be way more interesting. Because
messed up, Ruben. Missed out, buddy.
I'm curious about. So one of my first observations on this Zoom gathering is that you guys both have shared family members or related family members, as in your kitty cats.
We both have Russian blues.
Yep.
We both own Russians. Does that sound weird?
It doesn't sound weird.
I didn't get it out of a mail catalog. I didn't get it out of a catalog or anything like that. She was a street cat, actually. She really was. Yep. She lived on the streets in our neighborhood. And this is a crazy thing. That cat is probably, if you think about domestic animals, there's very few cats that have lived on different continents. And this one has. Because she was up in Sweden. And when we moved down here and relocated to South Africa, we actually put her on a plane with a pet handler, a whole pet courier service. Don't even ask how much friggin' money it is to get a cat across continents. Maybe a tiny bit cheaper than a dog, but that cat made it all the way from Stockholm, Sweden to Cape Town, South Africa.
I love it.
Man. International. And she has a passport.
And she has a passport with her photo. I love it.
Did she have to be sedated or anything for the flight?
No, they don't allow you to do that. You can spray this calming spray, but the bottom line is they pretty much prepare you before any time a cat travels that distance. They make you sign a lot of things, but pretty much prepare you like, it's a flip of a coin. You might not have a cat when the plane lands. So you're kind of like in this. There's this 12 because it's a long flight. She had to stay overnight in Amsterdam. She stayed at a pet hotel in Amsterdam, probably another first for a domesticated cat of that stature. And then she had to get the extra flight to Cape Town from Amsterdam. And yeah, she made it through, but all those hours were very trepidatious hours, But street cat, she's living the life now.
And those hours, was it more stressful on you and your wife than it was on the cat?
Oh, absolutely. Well, but I don't know though, because we do have footage of the cat getting out. Can you run that clip, Ruben? No,
Ruben's not here.
Right, not here.
Ruben.
Not here. Ruben, you go.
Way to go, Ruben.
Hi, Ruben. Wait,
so Ruben not to be here.
So Ruben.
Just like him.
Not even
Just like
experience a Ruben. I recently went to Paris for Paris Fashion Week, and I'd never been to Paris before in my life, so I was not going to mess that travel and flight up. So I made sure to, pack properly and rest properly because I wanted to avoid jet lag, etc. But I will not reveal her name on this podcast. But I invited a girlfriend of mine because I'd already rented a VRBO for a week and a half, and I said, "Do you want to come hang out in Paris with me for this whole time or part of the time, you go kick it and do your thing. I'll be working, but if you want just like a girls trip." So this friend of mine said yes. And then she had a couple cocktails at the airport in DC where we ended up connecting. And then she took something like a Benadryl on the airplane and lost her passport on the plane. So at Charles de Gaulle, I'm waiting, I'm already through customs. I'm ready to go get the key to our VRBO. I'm tired. And I call my girlfriend. I'm like, "Where are you? God, I've been waiting for 45 minutes. I'm exhausted, frustrated. I'm tired." She's like, "I've been sitting on the plane. I can't find my passport. They're sending me back." And so, yeah, I won't mention her name, but she did not.
You do realize this, Margot. All anyone has to do is go check your Instagram back a couple months, and then I'm sure you posted about 20 pictures of you and her. There you go, mystery solved. The internet sleuth out there, and all you internet sleuths.
Okay, so yes, I overpost. I do overpost. I did not include her actually because I can't really go into. She had a
fun.
Tell me this. Let's steer back. I'm not going to ask any techie questions right now, but I thought it was interesting for you, Ryan, Roxie, from having worked with you on our sunglass collab. And
these are the sunglasses that we worked with. These are
look,
Roxie series.
Look.
Yes, are we all? Wait, where'd I put mine?
Wow,
I got mine.
Thank you, Ryan.
Oh my gosh, I love
solidarity.
And
wow, look at that, Roxie Power. Screenshot that.
I felt like there is number and name symbolism with you and your music career. And I wanted to see if you could elaborate that. And what I mean by that is, the 77 obviously is significant.
The 77 came about sort of not by accident, but by spite. There's a little bit of a spite thing. Not really spite, but at the time I was playing with Gilby Clarke, who was in the band Guns N' Roses. You might have heard of them. And the year was 1994. So at that point in time, there was like no bigger autograph that you could sign than GNR 94. Meaning that if you were in Guns N' Roses 94 or 93 or whatever year it was, it would be Gilby Clarke, GNR 93 or what, and that's when we started playing in the solo band. So I took note of this. And I said, there's no way that anyone's going to care if I write Roxie 94 because, hey, I'm not in GNR.
Yeah.
But If I make it older and more classic, it'll be like a vintage autograph. So I would start off signing things Roxie 77. So people would think, oh. So then that's part A of the story. What ended up happening, and it only came, and it keeps happening each and every year. I find out something new about the year 1977. But that year was probably the most influential musically wise for me. Bands that I loved either put out their best album or put out their debut album, and so many firsts, so many significant events happened in the year 1977. I mean, all I have to say is 2 words: Star Wars. Yep. And there you go. Cheap Trick, first 2 albums, not just Cheap Trick, but in color as well, released in 77. Eagles, Hotel California, The Clash, Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks, 77, Fleetwood Mac, Rumors. And these are all albums that cover a spectrum of my musical taste. So it doesn't matter if it's punk rock or classic rock, 77 was the year. Kiss, Love Gun. There you go.
You mentioned In Color.
Yes.
That is still today. I just such a fan of that band. That is still today is my favorite Cheap Trick album, track for track.
Well, I go back and forth. I will say it's the best album cover of all time. The idea of the 2 cool guys in the front on their Harleys, and then the 2 cartoon guys in the back in black and white on their mopeds. Genius album cover. I mean, come on.
Nobody can ever fault those guys for not having the marketing sense that, say, a Kiss did or an Alice Cooper, because they were playing parts just as much as Kiss were, because you had the 2 heartthrobs, like you just said, and the 2 nerd guys. And you remember on In Color on the cover, Tom and Robin are on the cover with flowing hair and great clothes and kick-ass motorcycles in color. And then in the back in black and white, you've got Rick and Bunny, and Bunny just came from his Office Space cube with his tie, and Rick is the nerd, and they're on bicycles, and they're riding over the handles like this. You remember?
Yeah, I think is it mopeds or is it bicycles? It might be
it looks like it's one of it, but point being, they weren't as cool as
Well, if Ruben was here, he could put up the album cover, but where's Ruben?
We could go further about that record. That's a whole other podcast. But yeah, man, they were so in tune with that kind of thing that makes
to this day. And the thing is that has a double whammy, because Jack Douglas, who produced the first Cheap Trick album, he recorded all those tracks for In Color, but Tom Weirman mixed it.
Wow.
There's a little trivia. I didn't know if you knew that. But I'm a CT sort of fanatic.
If you would have asked me, I would have said that was a Tom Weirman record, but cool.
But Jack Douglas did record all the tracks for it. At least that's what Jack told us when we recorded the Slash's Snake Pit record, because he had a lot of great stories. And
for those who don't know, Jack Douglas also worked before them with a little band called Aerosmith. So
did all the great Aerosmith albums.
The pedigree is there. Yeah.
And John Lennon, Double Fantasy.
Yep.
And I mean, Jack Douglas is a lord. Why isn't Jack Douglas here instead of Ruben?
First thing I think of when I think Cheap Trick is Mighty Wings. And he was like, Mighty Wings? Take me on your mighty wings. The song from Top Gun. Top Gun has a Cheap Trick song in it on their soundtrack. And I watched many, replays of Top Gun when I was younger. Typically, probably Kenny Loggins playing with the boys when they're playing the volleyball, But
I do know Steve Stevens has a song on the Top Gun soundtrack. I think he won a Grammy for it. Right?
But it was crazy. And then the other one was, I think about, I know there's songs, but I think about like how it relates to me and not probably that your typical music lover. So I
think Mighty Wings explained that.
I thought you would get it.
2 words.
That's like Barbie. I have to act like Barbie too. But yeah,
I never heard of Mighty Wings until this exact moment.
I literally, it is by Cheap Trick, and it's like
fact check that. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to Google this. More done.
Everything Works If You Let It was on the Roadie soundtrack, so I know that was on the Found All the Parts little EP that they put out, and they released it as a standalone 45 that came in that 10-inch EP called, I think it was Found All the Parts or something like that. And do you remember that little 10-inch EP that came out? And everything will work out if you let it.
I knew that,
if you
yeah.
let it in your heart.
Yep.
So I think that was on the Roadie soundtrack, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we're gonna have to fact check
about Mighty Wings.
We have to fact check that, Margot.
The other song that I love by Cheap Trick is I Want You to Want Me. And I remember learning about that song when I was watching that, oh my gosh, I can't think of it, the show with Claire Danes and Jared Leto.
The way we found out about this song is so different.
What did he say?
Wow.
Mighty Wings with, there you go, Tom Cruise right there.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
See, I learned something. I didn't plan on learning anything today, so thank you for that.
So Cook. Let's talk about all you have going on. I know that you are a very successful and famous guitar player, and I dig that for you, but now I feel like you can add to your resume fashion designer a little bit.
Holy cow. Can you believe that?
That's
wild.
awesome.
Thank you. Here's what happened is I've been in a big purge mode for like the last 2 years, and started with my garage. And I would just go out there and look, and I would see a bunch of stuff, be it household goods, clothing on clothing racks, tools, anything, and just started looking at, and I started getting real panicky and nervy about just why do I have all this stuff that I don't use, don't need, have never used, blah, blah, blah. So I started with my garage, and what I didn't donate or sell, I recycled. What I didn't recycle, I gave away. And then there was some stuff that was just trash, and I would take it to the dump. And then the garage looked so great, so it moved into my home, and I started looking at gear. I haven't touched that pedal. That pedal says the price tag on it. I don't use that. I don't like that. So then I purged through Amplify and Facebook group, or gave stuff away or traded and got that down. Then it came to clothing. And I've made so much of the stage stuff I wear, I've gotten really good at, like way back when I really couldn't afford to get stuff, I've made stuff out of necessity. I would look and be like, well, that's just leather and whatever. So I learned to Frankenstitch, right? Which is hand sewing, looks like Frankenstein stitches or whatever. And a lot of the vests and pants and stuff I did myself. And people started asking where I got them. So occasionally I would, after a tour, someone would say, hey, do you sell that vest? And I started selling stuff. Anyway, the purge thing got to my closet, and I had t-shirts with the tags on them. I had a real bad t-shirt problem, right?
We all do.
And so many shirts that I just never, ever even wore. I would literally buy stuff and have it for 5 years and never wear it. So I was gifted this Barbados flannel that had a Rolling Stones thing on the back, right? And I'd always wear it on the bus or wear it to sound check or whatever, and I always got asked about it. So when I was purging my closet, I had a bunch of tees and a bunch of flannel, and I thought, I'm going to make 4 of these. All of a sudden, the first 4 were gone in like 12 minutes on Facebook.
Wow.
I cannot keep up with, so now I'm doing hoodies and flannels, and first it was just cleaning out my closet and buying the goods, but I couldn't keep up, especially at Christmas. People were buying them for themselves and then buying 3 as gifts for their friends. And I'm doing a minimum of 2 or 3 a day, and I can't keep up with it. It's great.
That is
great.
Incredible. So are you taking, so it's flannels that you already have in your closet, and then you're...
No, I'm getting brand new flannels,
Okay.
and I found a place to get them at a wholesale, and I do all sizes. And then once I ran out of t-shirts that I wanted, I just started purchasing the shirts, cutting them up, doing it myself, putting it together, and then I price it out as such. You know, I know what it costs to make it and what I sell it for, and I can't believe how many of these things. I mean, talk about a supplemental income, because I used to do like Roxie does. He's really good at doing pick packs or 8x10s or stage played strings or whatever. And I had done a lot of pick packs and 8x10s at the merch booth and stuff, but I kind of felt like people got bored with that with me. I never even imagined
something new, original. That's great, man.
Yeah, I can't keep up with it. So thanks for the shout out on that.
Let me ask you a question. When are you going to start the purge thing on all the picture frames?
let me get to the point, is that we usually on this podcast love to ask our guests a question consistently towards the end of the interview. And that question is, how did I get in this room? And I thought maybe you guys could each individually answer. It's not how did I get in this room, the room you're sitting in now, but with all of the incredible success that you both had and all of the people that you've met, you know, on the road and traveling and, you know, or collaborated with, is there a moment that just comes to mind where you think to yourself, oh my God, I'm working, I'm playing with Alice or Jean or, you know, what would that moment be for you? Cook, I'll make you go first.
The first time I felt like it was I was working at or got in the room, so to speak. I was working as the tape copy guy at EMI Music Publishing in Nashville, and they had a studio in the basement, and they'd let me go in and record demos at night. And this was in the very early 90s. And I was just 21, and a guy, songwriter, producer named Desmond Child, who I was a big fan of, came to Nashville to write because country music was on fire at the time. It was blowing up. And he, like a bunch of people, wanted to be a part of it. He heard some demos I was doing in the basement at EMI when he was writing, and came up in the tape room and said, I'm working with this band in LA, and they're cut from the same bolt of cloth. Can we bring you out there to meet them? And the minute I did that, it was like my path started. I was in the lane that I wanted to be in. You know what I mean? And then from that point forward, it was just networking. It was getting turned, I got a production deal and moved out there. And then the band that I joined, we needed to replace a couple guys. So that actually took a few years. But then the minute I got on the path to it, I felt like I was in the room.
So I can appreciate that. Okay, Roxie, you got to tell us.
Well, the whole thing about getting into the room took a long time to actually even know what the room was. I think, I'll tell you what got me there was, I talk about it all the time, whether it's at a guitar clinic or whether it's a TED Talk or whatever, it's the 3 Ps. The practice, persistence, and patience. Practice your off. Got to be good. You got to know how to play your instrument. And then that persistence and patience thing was a tough one because, even through all the years of playing the club circuit and touring in vans with a U-Haul on the back of it, it's that a little bit of that insecurity of like, will I ever be in that room? Will I ever be able to, sit there? And even with the Alice gig, it was always like, I always felt a little bit like, no, I have a lot to prove. I have so much more to prove and so much more to go that in some ways, maybe it's not, I should have learned it earlier, but I didn't. And sometimes that insecurity, it can come off like, oh, he's arrogant or he's or he's whatever, but you're just kind of insecure in your own shoes, in your own self. But still, I put my head down and I keep playing a gig. I keep playing as many gigs as I could as possible with any band, really. I mean, it wasn't just with Cooper because, luckily I was really, really lucky to play as many gigs with Alice. But even in the off time, I'd still put my hand into my own bands. I'd be playing with other bands as well, trying to do this or that, always trying to sort of get in that, so to speak, room. But I think when it finally hit me that you're already in that room and have been for a while was probably in 2015. And it sounds it might be trivial to anybody listening except for the musicians, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's universal. But we played Madison Square Garden with Motley Crue. Alice Cooper, Motley Crue. It was their final tour, 2015. Well, their final tour back in 2015, as we all know. Lies.
For that year. Yeah.
But, we played Madison Square Garden. And I'm telling you, ever since that gig, there was a calm that came over me that said, you know what? You have worked your off. Give yourself credit for it. Celebrate the win. Yep. Enjoy the ride. All those types of things. that I use as a mantra to myself. But I really started feeling like, no, not only have I been in the room for years, I deserve to sit at the same table. I might not have sold as much records as this artist or that artist, or be as talented as this guitar player, or as charismatic as this singer. But guess what? I've been on just as many stages, probably in some cases, played more like actual gigs than many people that have sold gazillions of records. So I at least deserve to sit at the table in the room. And as long as you're not a dick about it, and you don't let that insecurity turn into arrogance, you let there's something about confidence not turning into arrogance. You have confidence, but don't let it turn into arrogance. And you're at that table. After that Madison Square Garden gig, I felt like, you know what? It's been smooth, and it's been smooth sailing ever since. I haven't really, maybe some people might differ, but I don't think I've been that much of an at that many times. I mean, and I've been lucky enough to meet good people like Ryan Cook, who keep my in check, and who I admire as a musician and as a friend and as a person. And then I get to meet you, and we collaborate on things like glasses. So it's always, surrounding yourself with positive people in that room and trying creating as much as you can.
You did great, even though you didn't have me there with you. Fantastic job on your part.
Thank you.
Yes. Well,
I'll accept a compliment.
Yeah, you will. I have to tell you, when he started talking about both of them owning Russians, I'm like, where is this going?
You never know. You never know.
But they were talking about cats.
They both own Russians. It wasn't awkward for Ryan Roxie to say that. Ryan Cook backed him up. And,
yeah.
We could have we could
were
have
having
run
fun.
with it, but
we
reined it in, and
it wasn't
we
weird.
hit our topics.
Cheap Trick.
Most of them.
Cheap Trick. Mighty Wings.
Like fact-checking
I had to
songs.
stop the video and play it back because I'm a huge Cheap Trick fan, and I was like, there's no way that they actually have done a song called Mighty Wings.
In fact, they have, and we have proven it, and everybody that's watching this will be able to see Ryan Roxie did hold up the Top Gun soundtrack showing Mighty Wings with Cheap Trick. We do have the text chain.
We do, and they are both huge Cheap Trick fans, and they were one of the most important American rock bands ever, and they were both. It's
flabbergasted.
They were like, what? There was this pause when you said that it was your favorite Cheap Trick song, or that you particularly loved that Cheap Trick song. I thought that was amazing. I thought that was fantastic.
Well, I'm really glad. So my goal in this podcast video, all the things
Whatever
we're doing, is for people to learn something new. And I feel like the world didn't know about Mighty Wings. They haven't appreciated it. Dax Nielsen, the drummer, is very glad that I'm now celebrating.
We have an interview with Dax
song.
coming up as well.
We have the interview queuing up.
What
Dax.
a sweet guy too.
He is.
Love him.
He's such a lovely guy.
Mighty Wings, people, you're welcome. Can't say anything else about that.
One of my favorites.
All right, coming up, Margot, a big one, episode 3.
Yes. So I'm a huge fan, obviously, of transparency, that my brand is transparent sunglasses. So I really dig anybody that can be honest and themselves. And
where is this going?
So Kylie Morgan, excellent country star, pop musician, transparency in her lyrics, How to Date Cowboys, Making It Up As I Go. She was our next guest.
Her album just went gold. You guys get to see that in episode 3. Please tune in for that. We'll see you next time. Peace.